Imagine you have a recipe that has been passed down from generation to generation, holding not only the flavor, but an entire history of your family. Today, we're going to tell you about such a recipe, the recipe of the legendary family Charlotte, which became an integral part of the life of one ordinary but incredible family. "Let's you and me bake our signature Charlotte," suggested Julia to 5-year-old Veronica. There was nothing to do on the weekend, so she decided to teach her daughter how to make the simplest of baked goods. Her mother gave her the family recipe for Charlotte, telling her that she herself had received it from her great-grandmother. Most of all, Nika liked to prepare flour. She generously spooned the white airy mass into the bowl of scales and laughed when an accidental sneeze part of the flour flew around. Julia did not scold her daughter, realizing that she was just playing. This time, the Charlotte turned out extraordinary. Either the kefir was particularly successful, or the flour was soft and fluffy, or whether the secret ingredients, raisins and apricot jam, made the pastry perfect. But when Julia took the freshly baked Charlotte out of the oven, she couldn't hold back a smile. The aroma was stunning. "How long it's been since I've baked anything," she thought suddenly. And indeed, after the divorce, there was no time for baking. Her husband Slavic, part-time father Nicky, 6 years after the wedding, the day in a day, filed for divorce. All turned out to be banal. Met at work a new Julia, younger by 10 years and prettier. At first Julia worried, but then decided that the most important thing, that Nika was happy, and she would find her happiness as a woman sometime later. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. "Mom, we have guests?" Nika asked cheerfully. No, honey, now we'll find out who it is," Julia replied and went to open the door. On the threshold stood a man about her age. "Hello, sorry to bother you," the stranger began the conversation. "I am, you might say, your neighbor from downstairs. I came to visit my grandmother, and for some reason she's not home. And her phone does not answer." Julia remembered suddenly the stories of her neighbor Maria Sergeyevna. "So you are Leonid, the son of her daughter Luda? Who went to Europe to live?" she asked the man. "That's right, Lenya." He introduced himself and continued worriedly. "Only I don't know who to turn to. I need to find out what's wrong with my grandmother. I didn't warn her about my arrival. I wanted to surprise her. But alas, there is no one at home." Julia wanted to go together with Leonid to the neighbors to find out the fate of Maria Sergeyevna. But then a curious Nika looked out from behind her back and spoke to Leonid. "Hello, come and visit us. We baked a Charlotte." The man looked at Julia and asked ingratiatingly, "Can I? I'm really hungry. I've been traveling all day." Half an hour flew by unnoticed. Leonid charmed Nika with stories about his life abroad, and unnoticeably he ate almost half of the Charlotte. When the tea party was over, Julia put Nika to watch cartoons, and together with Leonid went to Sofia Ivanovna, a friend of Maria Sergeyevna and their common neighbor from the 10th floor. When she saw Lenya, she gasped. "Lenechka, you've arrived! Did Lyudmila tell you that? What did she say?" "Mom is now on a wedding trip to the islands. I cannot get through to her. The connection is very poorly caught there," replied Leonid. It turned out that Maria Sergeyevna was taken to the hospital a couple of days ago and placed in the intensive care unit. Suddenly it became bad with the heart. "She didn't have time to leave me the keys, as she usually did," Sofia Ivanovna lamented. "So, Lenya, you can't get into your grandmother's apartment yet." Leonid waved his hand carelessly. "I'll get a room at the hotel." "It's unlikely," Yulia laughed. "We have major sports competitions in the city. All the hotels are full. I can tell you this as a tourism manager. Everything that was possible was booked up 2 months ago." "Then I don't even know what to do," said Lenya, confused. "I can't leave without seeing my grandmother." "Well, you needn't go away. Stay with us for a little while. The third room is empty anyway," suggested Yulia. "I agree, but only on one condition," smiled Leonid. "What condition?" Yulia tensed a little. "You'll make me a Charlotte at least once more. You have it just fantastically delicious." Yulia laughed and replied, "Okay, we'll make another Charlotte tomorrow together with Nika." A week later, Maria Sergeyevna was discharged from the hospital. Leonid moved into his grandmother's apartment but still came to visit Yulia and Nika every day. After another week, he came to Yulia with a bouquet of white roses and called her to talk one-on-one. You know, I've decided not to go anywhere. Grandmother now needs care, and I can't do it without you and Nikki. It's not a proposal, not yet, but I hope you'll be happy if I don't leave. Yulia smiled coquettishly and replied, well, of course I'll be glad, because Nika and I together do not eat a whole Charlotte. A year later, Yulia and Leonid got married. The Charlotte baked according to the family's signature recipe became their favorite dessert. Little Veronica solemnly promised to pass on the recipe to the next generation.